The Denver Broncos are not supposed to be this good this fast. A franchise that missed the playoffs for 7 straight years somehow flipped the entire script in back-to-back seasons, going from wild-card underdogs to the #1 seed in the AFC and 1 win away from the Super Bowl. That is not a slow rebuild. That is a takeover. And yet, while every other contender in the conference spent this offseason trying to keep up, the Broncos went out and made a move that could separate them from the entire pack. A blockbuster trade that fills the one gap this roster has been missing for years. A proven weapon with game-breaking speed. The kind of player that does not just help a quarterback, he transforms an entire offense. If you thought this team was dangerous last season, what they just put together might be the scariest roster in football. Bo Nix is about to enter year 3. Think about that for a second. A quarterback who dragged this franchise back to relevance as a starter in year 1, then led them to the AFC Championship game in year 2. The arm is real. The fourth quarter moments are real. And the front office just handed him a new toy. But that is only half the story, because the Broncos also made a coaching change on offense that nobody expected from a head coach like Sean Payton. A move that could completely change the way this team attacks defenses. And on the other side of the ball, the reigning Defensive Player of the Year, Patrick Surtain, is still locking down the best receivers in football every single week. This is a roster that was already built to compete. Now, it might be built to dominate. Over the next few minutes, we are going to break down every layer of what Denver has done this offseason. The trade that just upgraded their wide receiver room into one of the most loaded groups in the league. The play-calling shakeup that could finally unlock this offense. A defense that already makes quarterbacks uncomfortable from the moment they step under center. And the few remaining holes that still need to be filled before this team can finish what it started. If you think you know the full picture of this Broncos roster, you do not. Because this whole story begins with one phone call to Miami. But before we get into that, hit that like and subscribe button for more Broncos and all the NFL content. Let's aim for 350 likes on this video. The Denver Broncos sent the 30th overall pick, a 3rd rounder, and swapped 4th round selections with the Miami Dolphins to land Jaylen Waddle and Miami's 4th round pick at number 111. That is a former 6th overall selection, a proven playmaker with 373 career catches and 26 touchdowns, locked into a contract that cost Denver just $6.8 million this season. Some fans saw the 1st round pick leaving and panicked. But here's what those fans are not factoring in. The 30th pick is 3 spots away from being a 2nd rounder. The 3rd and 4th round selections are late picks from a team that won 14 games. You are not giving up premium draft capital. You are giving up back-end selections for a player who has already proven he can perform at the highest level in this league. Now compare this to what other teams paid for wide receivers this offseason. The Buffalo Bills gave up a 2nd round pick to acquire DJ Moore from the Chicago Bears. And Moore is 29 years old, coming off a career-low season with just 50 catches. The Pittsburgh Steelers landed Michael Pittman from the Indianapolis Colts for nothing more than a late-round pick swap. Waddle is younger than both of those players. He is faster than both of those players. And he has a higher ceiling than both of those players. The value here is not even close when you look at what Denver actually spent versus what they are getting back in return. What made this trade possible was a total reset in Miami. New general manager John Eric Sullivan and new head coach Jeff Hafley moved on from the old regime's core. Tyreek Hill was released. Tua Tagovailoa is gone. Jalen Ramsey, Minka Fitzpatrick, Jalen Phillips, all shipped out. This was a full teardown, and the asking price for Waddle dropped because of it. Denver had interest at the trade deadline months ago, but walked away because Miami wanted too much. The price came down. The Broncos pounced. And what Waddle brings to this offense is something we have not seen in Denver for a very long time. In his best season as a pro, Jaylen Waddle led the entire NFL in yards per catch at 18.1. finishing with 1,356 receiving yards and 8 touchdowns in just 17 games. That was the year the Miami Dolphins had one of the most explosive offenses in modern football. But here's the part most people skip over. He did all of that, playing second option behind Tyreek Hill during Hill's best stretch as a Dolphin. Waddle was never the focal point. He was never the guy that the entire game plan revolved around. He put up 3 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons while sharing targets with one of the fastest receivers in NFL history. Now imagine what happens when an offense is actually built around him. The biggest limitation on Waddle's career has been the arm throwing him the football. Tua Tagovailoa is a talented quarterback, but arm strength was never his calling card. He could not consistently push the ball deep, and that took away a massive part of what makes Waddle so dangerous. Bo Nix does not have that problem. Nix can drive the ball 40, 50 yards downfield with accuracy. He proved that all season long on deep shots to Courtland Sutton and Marvin Mims. Waddle's speed, paired with a quarterback who can actually put the ball where it needs to be on those deep routes, is a combination that defensive coordinators across the AFC are going to lose sleep over. Yes, there are injury concerns. And yes, playing outdoors in Denver during December and January is a different world than playing in Miami. Cold weather has led to some drops in the past, but this is a 27-year-old receiver entering the prime of his career with over 5,000 receiving yards already on his resume. The talent is not a question. The situation he was in was the question. And for the first time, that situation just got a whole lot better. Here's the coverage problem every defense in the AFC is about to face. Last season? No. Courtland Sutton put up 74 catches for 1,017 yards and 7 touchdowns. Those are strong numbers. But what the stat sheet does not show you is that Sutton was bracketed with double coverage from week 1 all the way through the AFC Championship game. Teams knew he was the only proven threat on the outside. They put a corner underneath and a safety over the top, and they dared everyone else on the roster to beat them. Most of the time, nobody could. Now picture a defensive coordinator sitting in his film room trying to figure out how to handle Jaylen Waddle lined up on one side and Sutton on the other. You cannot bracket both. It is physically impossible. And the moment you choose one, the other eats you alive in single coverage. That is where the rest of this room turns into something special. Troy Franklin finished his second season with 65 catches, 709 yards, and 6 touchdowns. He was already trending upward before this trade happened. Pat Bryant, who was a rookie third-round pick last season, showed real flashes down the stretch and worked his way up to the number 3 role by the end of the year. Marvin Mims is entering a contract year and has the kind of speed that can hurt you on any given snap. When defenses try to take away both Waddle and Sutton by loading up with 2-man under or split safety shells, Franklin, Bryant, and Mims are going to find themselves in one-on-one matchups that they can win. This is not just about adding one player. This is about what one player does to every single matchup around him. Sean Payton compared Pat Bryant to Michael Thomas when he drafted him. Troy Franklin already has chemistry with Bo Nix, dating back to their time together at Oregon. The pieces were already in place. Waddle is the final domino that tips everything over, and the ripple effect across this entire receiver room is going to be felt on every single snap. Bo Nix threw for 3,931 yards and 25 touchdowns in his second NFL season. He led the entire league in pass attempts with 612. He added 356 rushing yards and 5 rushing touchdowns on the ground. But the numbers only tell part of the story. In Week 7 against the New York Giants, Nix became the first player in NFL history to record at least 2 passing touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns in a single quarter, leading a comeback from 19 points down to win 33-32. Nobody in the history of this sport had ever done that in one quarter. That is not a stat you manufacture with a system or a scheme. That is a quarterback making something out of nothing when everything around him is falling apart. By the end of the regular season, Nix held the record for the most wins by a quarterback in his first 2 NFL seasons with 25. He also recorded 8 game-winning drives in a single year, the most ever by a quarterback 25 or younger. In Week 15 against the Green Bay Packers, he went 23 of 34 for 302 yards with 4 touchdowns and a passer rating of 134.7. That performance clinched a playoff spot. 2 weeks later, he locked up the number 1 seed in the AFC with a win over the Los Angeles Chargers. Everything was trending toward a Super Bowl appearance until the final minutes of the divisional round against Buffalo, when Nix fractured his ankle on one of the last plays of the game. That injury forced backup Jarrett Stidham into the AFC Championship against the New England Patriots in a blizzard, and the season ended there. The front office watched the best chance at a Super Bowl in a decade slip away because of one injury on one play. That is exactly why they are being this aggressive now. They know the window is open while Nix is still on his rookie deal, still getting better every single season, and still hungry after falling 1 game short. But the changes happening on the coaching side of the ball might matter just as much as any player they brought in. For the first time in 20 years as an NFL head coach, Sean Payton is handing someone else the play sheet. That is not a small thing. This is a coach who built his entire identity around calling plays. He did it for every single game with the New Orleans Saints. He did it for every game since arriving in Denver. And now, he is stepping aside for a 31-year-old who has never called a play in a regular season NFL game. That should tell you everything about how much Payton believes in Davis Webb. When asked why, Payton kept it simple. He said, Webb has a gift in that he is quicker. In a league where getting the play in faster can be the difference between a completion and a sack, that matters more than people realize. Webb went from being a backup quarterback behind Patrick Mahomes at Texas Tech and behind Josh Allen in Buffalo to coaching quarterbacks on Payton's staff, starting in 2023. In just 2 seasons working directly with Bo Nix, the passing offense jumped from 20th in the league to 11th. Nix became the only quarterback in NFL history to throw for 7,500 yards and 50 touchdowns, while winning at least 20 games in his first 2 seasons. 3 teams interviewed Webb for head coaching jobs this offseason. The Baltimore Ravens, Buffalo Bills, and Las Vegas Raiders all wanted him. The Raiders brought him back for a second interview. Payton promoted him to offensive coordinator to keep him in the building. And that promotion came with the keys to the entire offense. The safety net here is obvious. If Webb struggles through the first month, Payton can step back in and take over play calling at any point. But the early signs suggest that will not be necessary. In his 1 preseason audition calling, plays against the Arizona Cardinals last August, the offense put up 562 yards in a 27-7 blowout. That was an exhibition game, sure, but the command was there, the tempo was there, and now he has Jaylen Waddle, a loaded receiver room, and a quarterback who trusts him completely. The ceiling for this offense just got a lot higher, and it is going to take an elite defense to slow it down. Defensive coordinator Vance Joseph does not care if you know man coverage is coming. He will send a zero blitz straight at your quarterback's chest and dare him to beat his secondary. That mentality turned Denver into one of the most feared defenses in football last season, finishing 3rd in scoring defense and leading the entire NFL in sacks. The front 7 is relentless. Nick Bonito set a career high with 14 sacks, good for 5th in the league, and added 2 forced fumbles. He started the season on a historic pace, leading the NFL in sacks through the first 5 weeks and drawing comparisons to Von Miller's legendary 2012 campaign. Next to him, Jonathan Cooper added 8 sacks, and Zach Allen contributed 7 of his own, while becoming the first Bronco since Alfred Williams in 1996 to record at least half a sack in 6 consecutive games. DJ Jones and Malcolm Roach do the dirty work inside, eating up blocks so the edge rushers can feast. When this group is rolling, quarterbacks have no time to think. The secondary is where this defense goes from very good to truly special. Patrick Surtain was targeted just 52 times all season. Because offensive coordinators simply refused to throw his direction, he still came away with 4 interceptions, including a 100-yard pick six, and allowed the fewest passing yards of any cornerback with significant snaps. On the other side, Riley Moss drew heavy volume because of it. He gets flagged too often, but he also recorded 19 pass deflections, which means receivers are not catching the ball cleanly against him either. Talanoa Hufanga brings physicality and playmaking ability at safety. Jaquan McMillan locks down the slot. And Jahdae Barron, who was a first-round rookie last season, flashed real ability covering tight ends like Travis Kelce and Brock Bowers in limited snaps. The offensive line deserves credit in this conversation too. Garrett Bowles has developed into one of the best left tackles in football. Quinn Meinerz is an all-pro guard who overpowers everything in front of him. Ben Powers is reliable at left guard. Luke Wattenberg holds down center, and Mike McGlinchey is steady at right tackle. From tackle to tackle, this unit gave Bo Nix time to throw all season long. The problem was never protection. It was finding open receivers against loaded coverage shells. That problem just got solved. And the defense that carried this team to the AFC Championship game is not going anywhere. This roster is closer to a championship than anything Denver has fielded since Peyton Manning raised the Lombardi Trophy. But close is not enough, and General Manager George Paton knows exactly where the gaps are. The Broncos still have 7 draft picks heading into April, including a second-rounder, 2 fourths, a 5th, and 3 sevenths. That is enough ammunition to address the positions that could make or break a Super Bowl run. Tight end sits at the top of the list. Evan Ingram was brought in with massive expectations last offseason, but he looked more like the inconsistent version fans saw in New York than the explosive weapon he was in Jacksonville. Too many drops, too many quiet games. The Broncos reportedly capped their tight end spending at $6 million per year, which priced them out of options like David Njoku. This draft class is loaded at tight end, and Denver needs to find a real mismatch weapon for Bo Nix in the middle of the field. Linebacker depth is another concern that cannot be ignored. Alex Singleton is 32 years old. Drew Sanders has barely seen the field due to injuries since being drafted and may not even make the active roster. Behind the starters, there's not a reliable backup who can step in and hold the defense together if someone goes down. The draft is deep at linebacker this year, and spending a day 2 or day 3 pick there feels like a certainty. Running back insurance matters too. J.K. Dobbins is talented, but his injury history stretches all the way back to Baltimore. R.J. Harvey showed promise, but the run game collapsed when Dobbins went down with an ankle injury last season. Adding another explosive back through the draft would give this offense a safety net it desperately needs. The big picture is simple. The Broncos beat Kansas City. They matched up well with the Los Angeles Chargers. They took down Buffalo in the divisional round at home. Adding Jaylen Waddle fills the one offensive hole that held this team back for years. Davis Webb brings a fresh voice to an offense that needed new energy. And the defense already has the Defensive Player of the Year and one of the best pass rushing units in football. The window does not stay open forever, but right now, with Bo Nix still on his rookie deal and every key piece locked in, this might be the best chance Denver has had in a decade to finish the job. If you made it this far, drop a comment and let me know. Do you think the Broncos can win the Super Bowl this season?